Hello and welcome to Disctv, the show that brings you the world of disc golf. I'm Brian Sullivan. This week, the PDGA National Tour brings us to Columbus, Ohio, home to Ohio State University and the Brent Hambrick Memorial Disc Golf Tournament. Now, temperatures are expected to reach nearly 100 degrees this weekend, so endurance will be the key if you want to win this event. Who will be the winners? Find out because Disctv is on the air right now. Also this week, we'll talk with five-time women's world champion Elaine King about her success on and off the course. Plus, Brent Hambrick's mom, Wanda Hambrick, remembers her son. It's all about disc golf. This is Disctv.
Good. Pause.
Disctv is brought to you in part by the Professional Disc Golf Association, guiding disc golf into the future. Maceman Disc Golf Gear, simply the best. Gateway Golf Discs, winning discs of the 2002 Great Lakes Open. And DiscLife.com, the world leader in disc golf. Welcome to Disctv's coverage of the 2002 Brent Hambrick Memorial here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm Brian Sullivan. With me is this weekend's tournament director. He's Brian Schick. Brian, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Now, give me first a little history behind this event.
Well, this event actually, Brent Hambrick was the one that actually got disc golf started in Central Ohio, in Columbus here. We didn't have any courses around, and Brent, really wanted to get a championship caliber course. So he went to our local parks department and, pushed them, told them that he had people that were ready to buy the baskets and install it if they just give us the land. So Brent initiated it and got this course in the ground. And then to follow that up, Brent also ran the first ever disc golf tournament, PGA sanctioned disc golf tournament in Central Ohio, which was the Columbus Open. And Brent actually passed away in '97 to leukemia. And that's what kind of generated us to want to follow in Brent's footsteps and rename the course. It was actually renamed after Brent and named the tournament with his name.
A player sorely missed by everyone here in Central Ohio.
Yeah, definitely Central Ohio as well as he was well known throughout the entire PDGA and disc golf family.
Brian, you have a beautiful course here. Tell me about the challenges that the players are going to be facing this weekend.
The course is pretty challenging, like you said. The back nine is very challenging. There are a lot of trees. You can get into a lot of trouble. There's ravines back there with occasionally some water. Probably not the water this weekend with all the dry spells we've had here, but the back nine will definitely play tougher, whereas the front nine is open. And it does occasionally get windy here with the water coming off the reservoir, so that picks up the wind in the front nine and makes it a little more challenging for them in the front nine.
And there will be actually a shot off of the dam this weekend.
That's correct. That's our signature hole that we like to use for the final nine, which Brent designed back in the Columbus Open days. And they throw that only in the final nine. It'll be the top 4 men. So see that a little later, hopefully.
So Brian, you've got a strong field here this weekend. Who's here?
All the touring pros that you've seen on all your recent shows are all pretty much here. The Winnie Crew and Cam Todd, world champion, 10-time world champion Ken Climo. Basically, all the touring pros will be here. And
you've seen most of these players on this course before. Whose style plays into this course? Who might be winning this weekend?
I'm predicting Ken. Ken's always in the top 4 definitely in this event. He loves this course. He's always here each year. So my top pick would probably be Ken, and Al Shack always plays well here as well.
And I know you're getting some good support as well from the local community here.
Yeah, that's for sure. Dairy Queen has just been an excellent sponsor for us. Each year, they not only do they give us cash for the event, but multiple gifts and prizes to raffle off for charity, and they supply us with all the ice cream we can sell as well to spectators and players. That all goes to Leukemia Society.
The 2-minute warning is about to sound. Let's take you right to the action. Right next to the Hoover Reservoir in Columbus, Ohio, is where you'll find the Brent Hambrick Memorial Disc Golf Course. As in much of the Midwest, the weather this weekend was hot. How hot? Try about 100 degrees. Enough heat and humidity that the players could be found huddling under any shade they could find. And if you can't find any shade, just make your own like Leslie Herndon here. First highlights from the Masters division, where Kentucky's Fred Salas was tearing it up. We unexpectedly found Dr. Rick Vokes with the Masters as well. The 53-year-old Vokes can normally be found competing in the Open division, but an injury earlier this year has kept Vokes on the sidelines for much of the season. Even with an injury, Vokes resisted any temptation to compete against other 50-somethings in the Grandmasters division and instead took on the younger upstarts in the Masters. Now, it's been noted that Pittsburgh's J. Gary Dropcho uses an unusual putting style. I don't care, he says, as long as they end up in the basket. And that they did for Dropcho this weekend, and his roller shots were looking mighty fine as well. The Ohio faithful were cheering on Gordon Holden, who took a home course advantage and ran with it through all 3 rounds. Holden was crushing some super long drives and was threatening to hit some impossible putts. But Holden's downfall was Georgia's Brad Hambrick, a Masters player who looks like he's about 25 years old. Hambrick kept pace with Holden through all 3 rounds, and the two were knotted in a tie after regulation play. A sudden death playoff was in its 3rd hole when Hambrick hit the long putt to become this weekend's Masters champ. Now to the women's division, where some of the world's best Frisbee femme fatales were gathered to once again test their formidable skills. Alabama's Leslie Herndon was fresh from a big win in Michigan, and that momentum carried her far through the 1st and 2nd rounds. Solid drives and laser putts were Herndon's trademark, but her old nemesis, the mental game, came knocking in the 3rd and final round when Leslie Herndon gave in to the heat and stress and fell short of her goal of 5 straight wins on the Professional Disc Golf Association's national tour. Meanwhile, Iowa's Des Redding continues to move through the women's pro ranks like a train that's leaving the station. She started slowly, but has been building steam throughout the season and now poses a very real threat to the other elite players in this division. Take, for example, Redding's approach game. The idea of an approach is to give the disc a chance to get in, but if not, keep it within putting distance. Time after time, it was an easy 3 for Redding. She was consistently in the upper 70s through each of the 3 par 72 rounds this weekend. And while in the end Des Redding came up a little short of the victory, she once again made it clear that she is the real deal. Juliana Korver has been the talk of the disc golf world for the past month, because for the first time in 5 years, Korver has not been destroying her opponents week after week. In fact, she's had more finishes this year in 2nd place or below than any other time in her professional disc golf career. Is it a slump, or has the indomitable one finally reached her peak? The answer was clear at the Brent Hambrick Memorial, where Korver was back on her usual game of driving for big distance and hitting those monster long putts. She kept her scores near par despite the brutal heat, but no matter where she bagged her birdies, Korver could not shake 5-time world champion Elaine King from Ontario, Canada. King hasn't worn the crown since 1997, but don't think she hasn't continued to work toward it. She's still got game, and after 2 rounds, it was a deadlock tie between King and Korver. 24 holes later, each had shot exactly 1 over par, and it was still tied up between these 2 players who hold a combined total of 9 world championships between them. Just as in the Masters division, the women went into a sudden death tiebreaker that would last exactly 3 holes. And the winner, by 1, is Elaine King. Can anyone doubt that these 2 will be facing each other again at this year's World Championships?
Of course, the Pro Worlds are coming up soon, and I'd really like to have a strong finish there. It would be great to win. I'll have to take what I get, though.
Now to the Open division, where Al Sugar Shack of Ann Arbor, Michigan was ignoring the heat long enough to make a string of amazing putts. Iowa's Sean Sinclair was coming off a big win last week and was keeping up with Shack no problem. A 70-foot putt? Sure, why not? Now here's Mr. Disc Golf, aka Ken Climo. He'll be seeing Florida's #1 son in this weekend's Final Nine because he is so good at doing exactly this. Ba-bam! And Ron Russell was loving the heat this weekend as he shot 2 back-to-back rounds of 12 strokes under par, plus a 9 under just for good measure. Russell ran away from most of the pack, leaving only Ken Climo to challenge his lead as we make our way toward the final 9 holes of the 2002 Brent Hambrick Memorial here in Columbus, Ohio. It's time now for After the Round, when we sit down and talk with a disc golf legend. This week, we are oh so pleased to have with us 5-time women's world champion, Elaine King. Elaine, thanks for being here.
It's a pleasure.
Now, let's start with at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved in disc golf.
I got involved in disc golf just the summer I was married. Eric and I were in downtown Toronto and we saw a poster advertising the Toronto Island Open. So we went to the event expecting to see freestyle, I suppose, and we're told that all the players were golfing. And then we found out what that was. And Eric immediately knew that this was a sport he wanted to become involved with. He'd been a Frisbee player, but frustrated with the lack of a partner to do throws with. So we were out the next weekend with our pro models, and I think a master mold as well, playing the course.
And this was what year?
This was '83.
Wow. So you started in '83. When did you actually, start getting into tournament play and all that? How long was the transition?
It was a long transition because I had no apparent talent when I started the game. Honestly,
most of us.
Like most women, I did not have very good arm strength, and that in itself was a big frustration. Plus, the Toronto Island course mostly played out a lot of bushes, so I was going from bush to bush to bush to bush, and a very frustrating experience. But eventually, I got enough arm strength and a little more control over the disc, and in '85, I started competing. Clearly, arm strength was an issue, so I started doing weights. And actually, I enjoyed doing the weights for its own sake, but it eventually translated into a stronger throw.
So what advice would you have for other women who are in that stage of developing their disc golf game where it's very frustrating and they don't seem to have the arm strength?
Well, you have to be patient because for women who don't play racket sports, you'll find that it will take longer than a man who starts at the same time because they tend to have more arm strength and can build it more quickly. Certainly the weight training helped me. Hopefully it would help other women similarly. I know some women do the weight training. I think the principles that I learned in playing the piano, and I played the piano for years, I've kind of translated them into the golf game with repetition, particularly. Lots and lots of repetitions, and just keep doing it until you get it right and you can do it right. A trap a lot of beginning golfers fall into is just playing rounds, playing for pleasure, which is enjoyable, and if that's an end in itself, that's great. But if you want to become a more competitive player, you have to do the repetitions. Do the same throw over and over and over with the same disc. And I think that discipline helped me. I think, though, with time, I've learned to take a different approach to the game. Especially now that my job, I guess, has gotten a little bit more serious. I get a lot of fulfillment out of the job, and I know that it takes a lot of my time, and I savor the time that I can be practicing and playing. And I think I've lowered my expectations, so when I play well, I'm more pleased, and it's more of a surprise and a bonus, I think.
And maybe more fun.
And it could be that just taking the pressure off myself is going to translate into better golf. That's undeniable. I'm pretty happy with the balance I have in my life. I think I go to enough golf to really get a lot of enjoyment, to keep up the friendships, to challenge myself on different courses. And I try to play some different courses every year and hit some different tournaments like Patapsco. Never been here before. But I also enjoy the time I have at home. So I want to try and keep that balance if I can.
Well, you clearly have been getting in plenty of practice, or your just natural skills are such that you are still a fantastic disc golfer, because you just beat Juliana Korver last weekend, and or recently rather, and that's not an easy task.
No, the women's field is definitely strong and getting stronger. Last weekend it was quite a battle. It was back and forth so many times, and came down to the last putt. At the end, it was that close. Yeah, that was kind of stressful.
Let's talk for a minute about your volunteer efforts in the sport. You've done a lot for disc golf. You've been the commissioner of the PDGA in the past. You've done so many things. Tell me where you see the sport going, especially from where it's already been.
Well, the sport's absolutely growing. More people are experiencing golf by playing it. More people have seen it on TV or perhaps in their local park, or they know people who play. So I can really, from casual conversation, see that the sport is growing. The number of courses attest to that. The level of enthusiasm at the tournaments and the number of players who are coming out speak to that as well. I think it's going to keep growing.
And finally, I have to ask, the World Championships are coming up this year in Houston, Texas in August. This year, if Juliana Korver were to take the title, it would be her 5th, would be tying you. Are you going to be there, and are you going to try to stop her?
I'm going to be there, and of course I'm going to try to win. That's my goal every year, and some years I fall short and some years I make it. I hope I can play well for me, because that ultimately it's you against the course.
Do you have any other strategy other than you on the course?
You can only play your own game. You can only play your own game. You can't control what anyone else in the world does except yourself. So, I'm happiest, I think, when I don't make big mental errors. I'm going to make some execution errors, everyone does, and you have to take those calmly and try and learn from it if you can. And I don't usually get upset at myself because I don't find that it's productive at all. So I just want to go there and have fun and try not to melt in this heat. I think it's going to be very hot, so I think half the battle will not be succumbing to heat prostration, which will affect your game.
Absolutely.
If you get overheated.
Very wise words. She's 5-time world champion, Elaine King, and perhaps this year it's going to be 6. Elaine, thanks so much for being here, and good luck this year in August.
Thanks, Brian.
We are real fortunate to have a moment to sit down and talk with the mother of the disc golfer who was memorialized this weekend. She's Wanda Hambrick, and Wanda, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Now, I didn't know Brent, but I know if he had the zest for life that you do, then he was a real popular guy, which he was.
Yeah, he was. Lots of zest. In fact, the man that came up to talk to him about this particular space for disc golf came to tell him no. And he said he wasn't possible to tell him no. And I thought, gee, I could have told him that. Yeah, it's one of the reasons it's here. It's because Brent didn't take the word no very well.
Tell me a little bit about what disc golf meant to Brent Hambrick and what Brent Hambrick meant to disc golf.
Brent really believed that disc golf kept him alive the first time that he had Hodgkin's. He would come home from chemotherapy and literally go out in the yard and putt till the chemotherapy got him. Plus, in the end, when he had leukemia, he could still travel all over the country and meet all these friends who were rooting for him and praying for him and calling him and sending him cards. It's a big deal.
And he has since become I believe, a real cornerstone in the foundation of the disc golf family. I mean, he's one of those guys that just brings people together.
Yeah. He was a promoter as well as a player. The first 3 tournaments that he put on here, he actually had people from Austria and Germany here. And he had more spectators than any of us have ever been able to get out since. We've never figured out how he did it.
Wanda Hambrick, this is a wonderful event, and we thank you so much for continuing to help out here and being a part of this great community.
Well, it gives us a lot of comfort every year, so we're glad to. Thank you.
Thanks. Brian, this is the Hoover Dam, but according to my 4th grade geography class, the Hoover Dam is actually in Nevada, so what gives?
Well, actually, this put here is called Hoover Reservoir, is what we call it here.
Ah, so kind of the junior Hoover Dam.
You got it.
Okay. We're playing one of the holes that the pros are going to be playing this weekend. This is going to be hole 3 of the final 9, the big vista shot, the dam shot. So Brian, tell us about this hole.
This hole is definitely very challenging. It's always been one of our crowd pleasers, something we try and get the spectators out just to see this amazing shot. It's a very challenging hole. The trees have grown up tremendously since the first time we threw it. So the main challenge is, you know, most players are probably going to take the hyzer route in there and just try and get over the trees, basically. If you get over the trees, you're going to have a look at the basket.
So we're about 600 feet out. That's where the basket is. But the main goal here is to throw most likely a hyzer shot, get up over these trees.
You got it.
Yeah. All right, let's give it a shot.
All right.
What are you throwing here, Brian?
Just an understable driver. Just going to put a little hyzer on it. Hopefully it stands up right through the trees there.
And you're not afraid of the wind coming off the river here?
No, I believe it's crosswind. I'm hoping. I haven't been down there to check it out, but hopefully it just help me push it over.
Tear it up. Get up.
Get up.
Are we ever going to find that, Brian?
That one should be okay. There's usually some gaps through there, hopefully.
I'm going to go with a mid-weight stable driver. This is 171 grams.
All right.
Uh-oh. Trouble!
Get on through there.
I can only hope there's a hole. Now, Brian, is this area out of bounds over here?
Yeah, well, we usually play the asphalt there, so if you turn over there, it's, you know, just your last place you went out and bring it back in.
Gotcha. This, you really seem to have a lot of good support from the park. The place is beautiful.
Yeah, our park has been really great. They're always out here cutting the grass, you know, at least once a week it seems like, and emptying the trash cans, all that good stuff, keeping the course in good shape.
Now tell me why you don't use this hole for the regular course and the regular layout.
Just because it's kind of crossing fairways here. If you throw it too far, you're going to be into the other holes and just causes a little distractions to the other holes.
Now, where do we need to go to start looking for these 2 frisbees?
That's a good question.
Man, this is wicked.
Yeah, lucked out there a little bit.
Now, do the pros make it over the top usually, Brian?
Yeah, I would say most of them have no problem doing that because they all can easily throw over 400, and that's going to give you enough to clear those trees.
Meanwhile, you appear to have pretty tough upshots.
It's not looking good. Alrighty, let's try a little beat up mid-range disc here, see if I can get it up there for a putt.
Look good from here.
Should give me a look.
Looking pretty brutal in here.
That it is. See what you got.
All right, the lie is here. Oh yeah, I got a window.
Got a nice little window.
A little is the key here.
Yeah. Go in. Good shot.
Oh yeah. This place is a par 3 for the pros, doesn't it?
That's correct.
And what about amateurs?
Par 3 still.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, you got a chance here at the 3.
See if the old tournament director can still say par.
Good run. That's cool, Brian.
Yeah. Great 3.
Thanks for showing us around.
Sure.
It's the Brent Hambrick Memorial Disc Golf Course in Columbus, Ohio. Now, Brian, if people want more information about disc golf in the area, where can they go?
We actually have a website. It's www.geocities.com/CFDGC.
So come disc golfing in Central Ohio.